Welcome back to my channel, Adam's Adventures, and today I visited this ruined castle that's high on the hills on the edge of Yorkshire Moors, Helmsley Castle. As you see here, this is what appears of what the castle would have looked like in the Norman times. In the southern barbican entrance you see here was very well designed and made the castle like a fortress of its kind and made it appear wealthy of the lands of Helmsley at the time. The De Roos added these towers and walls in the early to mid 13th century. It surely made a much high impression for visitors. The next section of this castle is Southgate, which would have been the main passageway and is built very differently. It definitely would have been an added extra protection for the castle for any raids that would have occurred. As you see here, that this would have been the 14th century hall and kitchens of which William de Roos II and his son built. This included a buttery and pantry section for which the lord and his guests feasted in the neighbouring hall. The hall was the heart of the castle at the time, and the king held petitioners and courts here as suitable building host. There was many feasts here attended, and the lord and his privileged guests sat at the table back of the hall. Even the servants slept in there during the nights, wondering what the room temperature would have been like. My guessing, cold and very damp, like a lot of conditions back in those times. These two buildings here that I'm approaching are the brew and bake houses, of which the ale and bread was supplied throughout the castle, mainly towards the kitchen area. You can see the foundations of the ovens still in place as of where it was. The East Tower you see in front of you was built in the 12th century by Robert de Roos and made an impact statement for his own power of Helmsley. It was extended its height in the 14th century but later was partly destroyed during the Civil War siege of 1644. isn't much left of the royal chapel of the 13th century. The interior would have had many ceramic tiles and stained glass like a lot of chapels back in the time, that it would have been precious and preserved of the holiness religion. The chapel was for the Lord's family, privileged guests and household. Since the Civil War, the castle went into rather much despair of decay and was bought by Charles Duncombe in 1695, of which owns the nearby estate under his name. He was a banker and a politician who was knighted in 1699 and became Lord Mayor of London in 1708. The whole of the 14,000-acre estate was bought for a sum of £90,000 at the time. In much later years, as the castle fell into disrepair, the local community took advantage of the site to hold fetes, pageants and even agricultural shows. The castle's remarkable earthworks were planned to be part of an anti-tank defence during the Second World War, but plans fell through. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, comment and subscribe to the channel for many more adventures in the near future.